Most self-help books out there, when broken down to their core message, speak to our common sense. If we read those kinds of books, we might at first be surprised. But once we get the core idea, we realize that of course in retrospect it makes perfect sense. Antifragile by Nassim Nicholas Taleb isn't like that at all. It is unlike anything you've ever heard before. The idea alone is so hard to wrap our head around that it really takes some time to sink in. The author is a statistician and investigates problems of uncertainty and randomness. He argues that some systems thrive when exposed to crises and shocks, instead of breaking under the pressure. Here are the top 7 lessons from Nassim Nicholas Taleb's Antifragile. Lesson 1. Understand that antifragile benefits from chaos. Fragility is a very simple concept. We know that a set of crystal bowls are fragile items that need special care. If we don't handle them with care, they will inevitably break, and therefore it is necessary for us to know how to deal with this fragility, so we're ready for any unforeseen events. But when we talk about the opposite of fragility, we go through great difficulty. Most people would say that the opposite of fragility is robustness, but robustness isn't really the opposite of weak. A sturdy object may not break when an accident occurs, but it doesn't really benefit from this situation. If the fragile needs to be handled with care, the item that we're seeking is a piece that the less care it receives when being handled, the stronger it becomes. Apparently, no word exists that defines this situation. Taleb coined the term that will guide our narrative, which he calls the antifragile, which is the antithesis of fragility. Lesson 2. Know that antifragile system is composed of fragile parts to learn and evolve. Whenever life is faced with difficulty, evolution forces it to adjust so that it fits into the new environment. However, there is an interesting aspect of this concept, and that is while the process itself is anti-fragile, the individuals participating in it are fragile. Evolution happens when genetic code is passed and it generates changes known as mutations. As these changes persist, the individuals which helped in this change suffer over time. Discarding these members is necessary to make room for evolution. One of the rules of anti-fragility is precisely that in order for a system to be anti-fragile, a majority of its parts must be fragile. That's because parts of an anti-fragile system work with information that feeds us through our failures and successes, showing what's not okay and what works. Therefore, failures are a crucial part of the process, which works in a trial and error method. With every mistake made by the involved individuals, the system strengthens because it can learn new things and become better. Lesson 3. Understand that anti-fragile activities may be unusual now, but they will be useful in the future. Anti-fragility is part of our day-to-day and is constantly present. When engaging in physical exercises, for example, we are experiencing anti-fragility because that exposes our body to abnormal forces, so that it grows and strengthens our muscles. Our anti-fragile system responds to this power with overcompensation, improving our ability to deal with stresses that theoretically would cause fragility. Theoretically, we waste strength when we exercise, and common sense dictates that success depends on the efficient use of our resources. On the other hand, redundancy and overcompensation are vital to anti-fragility, as they prepare us for uncertain and unknown problems. Lesson 4. Realize that controlling anti-fragile makes us weak. Predictability and consistency will end up creating fragile systems. While anti-fragility is found in biological and natural systems, fragile systems are very often artificial. Therefore, most things created by man shouldn't be anti-fragile, because they cannot improve through the unexpected and mistakes. A man-made system may be robust, but it's rarely anti-fragile. However, although uncommon, there are also artificial anti-fragile systems such as the economy. It has a nearly biological structure, and is so complex that it has become anti-fragile. But complexity alone does not make a system anti-fragile. To be anti-fragile, it also needs inconsistency. Inconsistencies are stressors and shocks that define which units should be eliminated to strengthen the system. In a calm and predictable system, there are no stressors, and also lack pressure on the units of the system. Therefore, attempts to control the anti-fragile tends only to weaken it. Lesson 5. Understand that it's possible to be part of an anti-fragile system without understanding it. Our society overestimates academic and theoretical knowledge, and tends to underestimate practical knowledge. We tend to believe that theoretical knowledge leads us to practical knowledge, but this rarely happens. It's important to know that it's entirely possible to benefit from an anti-fraud system without understanding its theoretical principles. To do this, we need to have choices and options in this system, such as the option to buy and sell stocks from stock exchanges. If the system brings us opportunities, but with no obligation on our side, we have the optionality. We may choose to buy or sell, but we can also simply do nothing. The optionality exists in every system. Lesson 6. Be prepared for the worst and minimize your risks. Periods of uncertainty and inconsistency are inevitable. We go through periods of crisis in our professional and personal lives, face economic crises, and may come across unpredictable accidents. We must understand the variables and accept it to become an anti-fragile person. There is no need to avoid uncertainties to become anti-fragile. It's necessary for us to know what extreme situations may happen and prepare for it. Lesson 7. Realize that anti-fragile is the engine of progress. When the Industrial Revolution occurred, it was not led by academics, but rather by individuals without formal education. The submarine, for example, was not invented by a naval institution or a university, but by a pastor. Other significant inventions also came as the result of people who worked independently. They came from people who were experimenting with new ideas and technologies to create useful tools. It was this dynamic of trial and error that ensured that the Industrial Revolution occurred, forming an anti-fragile system. In conclusion, Antifragile reveals how some systems thrive from volatility, shocks, and uncertainty, instead of breaking from them, and how we can adapt more anti-fragile traits ourselves to thrive in a chaotic and uncertain world. Do you have anti-fragile traits? Let us know in the comments section. Thank you for listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on my new content. You can also get a free copy of the audiobook by clicking the link in the description. Until next time.